What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jack Ramsays live show. Danny Meringue, Brandon Sprague. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. It's Thursday. It's a live show in between two games. Obviously, dropping the game to the Heat last night. Have the Cleveland Cavaliers coming up. Unfortunately, I tried to get Justin Rowan for tomorrow's game, but he is currently out with health and safety protocols as well. But his is different. He got the booster. So,
okay.
He's just getting his butt kicked.
Yeah.
So I told him to keep his ass home. But thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you. If you're watching here live on YouTube or if you're watching the replay, thank you. Either way, we appreciate you. Help us grow the channel. We're almost at 2,300. I think we're like 2 short right now. On our way to 3,000. So that's the next big goal. We have a lot to talk about, not just the game last night, but tomorrow's game, but also a bunch of other news around. Just some general ideas, and we'll answer a bunch of your guys' questions. This one's this like it's all for you guys, but this one is definitely this is one that's for you guys. This is for more of us to interact with you guys and take your questions kind of as we go. Much less formal when we're doing the pre and post game show. Even though it doesn't really seem real scripted, there is a general idea going into those. With these, it's a little bit more wide open. So that's kind of the idea behind these, is just to kind of come in, hang out, shoot the shit, to be honest, and see where you guys are at and see what you guys want to talk about, what questions you want to get answered, and just kind of go through kind of the standings of where the team is and what's going on and everything else. So without further ado, Brandon, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic.
You like that?
The
2-minute intro?
I love the 2-minute intro. Big fan of it. It sets the table. It's the table setter, as we like to call it in the biz. I'm kind of all over the place with this team. It's interesting. It's an interesting time, right? It's a very bad team that is watching a young player get an opportunity and running with it right now. And they just had some news that they announced that was pretty shocking, I think, to people like you and I who deal on the media side. And then you've got the trade stuff up in the air. And it's just, I don't know how to feel about all of it.
I know how I feel. I've got a very frustrated puppy because mom's not here. So give me 1 second. I got to go give her a treat so she will leave us alone for 5 minutes.
This is the scripted part of the live show that we talk about. It's we planned for Danny's dog to come up to him, beg him for food, and then he'll take a break. No, you look at right now what's going on with this team, and I think everybody's kind of playing the same game. At least this is the game I'm playing. When are they making a trade? Who's getting traded? When's it going to happen? And I think we're just kind of stuck. We're stuck in this limbo where every day we wake up and we're waiting for Woj or Shams or Haynes to tweet out some trade involving the Portland Trailblazers to make us think like they have some life in them. But, they're holding steadfast to something. Whether that happens tomorrow, tonight, in a week, they currently have an idea of what they're doing, or at least I like to think they do. And if they don't, well, that's a much more concerning situation. So,
grand scheme, teams aren't making moves yet. Price point-wise, there have been no movement on anything. There's been 2 real trades, basically, since December 15th. And the Jazz made one and the Lakers made one. Or I guess you could say the Cavs kind of made one. You will see moves in the next 10 days. It's going to happen. Particularly, I believe, with Portland. I would say within the next 10 days to 2 weeks, you will see a move with Portland.
Well, we assume it's not the biggest chip.
No, I would be willing to bet a large amount of money it's Robert Covington.
Okay, so when does the big chip get moved?
I don't know if the big chip is moved to the offseason.
Wow.
So,
yeah, I mean, maybe that's the best bet.
So here's the thing. If the right offer comes along, then yes. But if they do the tank, what does CJ McCollum plus that pick get you?
Well, do you think that they're overvaluing CJ's value?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they want to get a second best player in return. That's just not going to happen.
You're not making that move with CJ McCollum. You're making that with 2 or 3 different type of moves to set yourself up in that position. That's just, I don't know. That's pretty foolish, I think, to assume you're going to have that happen unless Boston just somehow is desperate and they say, all right, enough is enough. We're trading Marcus. We need a guard.
Even then, Marcus Smart isn't your second best player.
Oh, no, I meant more in the making CJ come to Boston would make sense, and we're done with the Tatum Brown thing. But
okay.
There's no indication then, they want to do that.
And even then, it's just got to be, it's got to be real. Method Man, which I wish that was actually Method Man. That'd be kind of dope. No offense to you, just be kind of cool to have Wu-Tang in the chat. But is it going to be an exciting move? No. It's not. It's going to be a probably lateral move with some upside that saves Portland some money.
Yes. The tax is important.
They got, what was it, $2.8 million they need to get under?
Yeah.
I think it's 2.8, 2.9. They got to just... Bruce Davis says...
It doesn't make people feel good to hear that either.
No.
It's like, priority is the tax, huh? Cool.
It's part of the business side of the stupidity. Bruce Davis says, I love Blazers, but a Blazers tank don't like it. I've stopped watching this team. That's going to be a feeling I think that's going to be popular out there, but I think one other one that's going to be really popular is the flip side of that, which is tanking. I'm going to give Richmond his credit for this one because he coined this perfectly. You either sell championships or you sell hope. This franchise is shit out of luck on selling championships right now. Neil, the used car salesman, did that shit for 6 years.
Yep. Yes, he did.
The net rating with Al-Farouq Aminu with a 4 and Zach Collins projecting to be LaMarcus Aldridge, Rasheed Wallace, and Kevin McHale. The deepest team Damian Lillard's at. Just take all that shit, shoot it into the sun. just gone. Just absolutely gone.
But I think, Danny, if you're shit out of luck on the championship sell part.
But you can sell a lot of hope right now.
Well, can you?
Yes, you can.
Okay, I want you to do this.
You have to do the hard pivot.
Well, do it for me then, because I look at this team and we know they're nowhere near a championship, so that's gone, right? So now you're trying to sell me hope. Tell me as a fan, after watching Dame deal with whatever Dame was dealing with off the court last year, and I know he's reaffirmed everything, but sell me what the hope is for the team the next year and a half.
The hope that you sell right now is the same way in a microcosm how the Warriors did it. With less proof of concept.
Well, they won. They
again, less proof of concept.
5 championships.
Okay, they managed to sell this crap for 6 years. We had a team dinner. We're a title contending team. You remember that?
Oh, I remember that.
You remember that?
I at the steakhouse, and we all talked about it.
I wanted to burn that article to the ground.
Yeah.
Because the fact that they were doing that was just ludicrous. And people push back and I'm, they've got it. They've figured it out. They'll get this. Da, 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 da. And I was just sitting there going, wait, what? What? I don't understand how you could possibly think that. Now, remember Brandon Roy, Rookie of the Year?
Oh, I always remember Brandon Roy.
Remember LaMarcus Aldridge? Remember even Greg Oden?
Yeah, I do.
Remember the hope.
That was a lot of hope. And then Greg Oden busted his knee without a contact, and we went, oh, shit, it's over.
Again, hope. If you are a no-doubt top 5 pick lottery contender, the hope is very easy to see at the end of the tunnel. The hope is that even if that player doesn't hit year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, because it is a no doubt, no BS top pick. And if those guys hit, you have a chance to get back into it, even if they miss with Damian Lillard. It is the put toes in both sides of the water right now and the next generation. And you can sell that.
So the one thing I've been thinking about the last couple of days with the tank situation, because it's clearly on.
It's on. Like, don't get it twisted. The decision is being made for Damian Lillard right now.
Yeah, and at some point he will announce that he's going to do surgery, and then it's 100% genuinely on, even though we kind of know it already is. But the one thing I was thinking about, and we've mentioned this before, is the combining assets. And if they end up with a top 5 pick, let's just say it's 5, because right now they're about 7.
That gets a little dicier.
Sure.
I'll be honest. That gets a little dicier.
Oh, in what way?
As far as the level of player and the player that fits.
That's what I was going to ask.
You get past those three bigs,
okay,
and you start getting into guards. You
Yep.
get in. You get.
And you
into,
don't want that. I don't think you want that. I mean, we just did it, right? Like, I'm seeing already people kind of suggesting that maybe they pivot to Ant and they sign Ant, and maybe they will sign Ant.
If they don't deal Ant is getting $20 million and
100%, and he'll deserve it. But I'll tell you my perspective from the fan thought. It's just me watching the team for 7-8 years and seeing what this has become. You're not selling any hope to me by just subbing out CJ for Ant. I'm not going, oh my God, this team's
not even a little bit.
No.
Interesting.
I've seen the 2-guard thing play with Dame. It doesn't work. I know Ant's different than CJ. He's not so far on the level of scoring on a consistent basis as CJ. And right now he's playing ball dominant. He's not going to be able to do that with Dame. That's not selling a lot of hope for me.
Okay.
If that's the pivot. It's let's trade CJ, get some other little pieces, and we're going to sell you Ant and Dame. Like, you're just selling me a different version of it. And I've seen how that plays out.
I think you can sell the general fan base on young guys, on Ant and Nas.
I don't disagree with you. If that's the move, like we're coming back next year saying it's Dame and it's Ant in the lineup, like
I don't think that's going to be it though. That's the difference. I think
so. You make
that's
him a
going to
six man.
I think that's part of the equation.
Well, if it's part of it, then cool. But I've seen people suggest like this is making CJ expendable, and maybe they don't mean it the way I'm reading it. It's just that's not something that sells a lot of hope to me.
I think to the diehards, this is going to be difficult. I think to your average fan, it's okay. Like, I'm not really paying attention anyway, so let's see what the young guys can do. This is fun. Like, we've already had more fun in the last 4 days than we had for probably 6 weeks. Let's be honest.
Yes, no doubt.
Like, the Memphis game was a fun win, in the middle of hell, but the last 2 games have been genuinely fun. That's been missing, and I think you can sell fun. I think you can sell hope. I think you can package that up in just alone against the shit show of Neil Olshey of the past 6 months. That contrast alone should probably be enough to buy you some time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of where it gets a little weird. James Barker asked, any updates on Larry? So Larry tweaked his knee. There has no press released, just the injury report. I will tell you guys exactly word for word what it says. Zeller, health and safety is questionable. Damian Lillard, abdominal tendinopathy, injury management. CJ McCollum and Larry Nance Jr., right knee inflammation are out. We have not gotten anything about Larry Nance Jr. is undergoing further imaging, x-rays or MRIs or otherwise. It is just typical Trailblazer bullshit. If I'm being totally honest, I get so sick and tired of how they handle injuries.
Yeah.
I was hoping that with the integration of gambling being more and more prevalent, the disclosure of what is actually going on would be better.
I wish it was. Yeah, but I wish it was.
It's not. So Taylor Sims says, did you hear Jake Fisher talk about 3 most wanted players at deadline? He said it was Grant, Covington, and Nurk. Thoughts? Haven't seen that. Haven't heard it. I know Covington's name is very active in trades. I've heard more than a handful of guys. I will tell you this. Here are the names that I have heard coming back to Portland, or thoughts of coming back to Portland. Excuse you. Get out of my mail. Marvin Bagley, Baby Sabonis, Jonathan Isaac, Terrence Ross, Marcus Smart, Robert Williams / Time Lord. I'm trying to think, who else am I forgetting? There's somebody else in there that I heard today. I'll think of it. But those are the.
Would Sabonis be a Cov trade?
I think that would be a combination of CJ and one of the young guys.
Yeah.
But
what young guy do you part with? I don't know.
I don't know. But again, these are the names that I have heard.
I think that's fair, though. Like, if you're telling me, like, the top-end value of what you're getting, I know you'd be shipping more assets than you'd be receiving, but
yeah,
Baby Sabas is about as good a player I think you're going to get for CJ.
Top-end talent Jonathan Isaac, Gordon Hayward, Baby Sabas. Those are the guys that you're looking at.
Yeah.
Guys that are good, very good players, but they have like inherent risks or flaws or not quite like perfect players.
They're not true number twos, but also maybe they fit really well. So who knows how that changes it.
Like Jonathan Isaac, the reason he would be on this list is because his injury history.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, he's 6'10" and a no bullshit defensive player of the year candidate.
A great defensive player.
He can create his own shot. He's a very good mid-range shooter. At 6'10", he would give Portland something they have never had at that position. They have not backfilled LaMarcus's position since 2015. So it would definitely be different. But again, the reason he would be available is because of his injury history. But you're not getting Jaylen Brown, Pascal Siakam, Ben Simmons for CJ McCollum. That just appears to be it's not in the cards. Let me go back and sort here real quick by my little chart. So I wanted to pull this up. I just wanted to go through just forwards in the NBA. Zach LaVine, if you want, or not even forwards, just wings. Zach LaVine, not available. Jason Tatum, not available. Luka Doncic, not available. Paul George, not available. Jaylen Brown, maybe available.
Would take a lot, I think, of creativity to get him.
Jimmy Butler, not available.
Not available.
Brandon Ingram, probably available.
Yeah.
Pascal
Zion Williamson, already here.
Already in Portland, baby. Pascal Siakam, available for the right price. Jeremy Grant, available. Julius Randle, maybe available for the right price. Miles Bridges, not available. Dylan Brooks, possibly available. OG Anunoby, not available. Andrew Wiggins, not available. Chris Middleton, not available. Tobias Harris, available. So I just basically went through like 20 players. And there's not a single one in there you're trading CJ McCollum straight up for. Gordon Hayward? Yeah. But that's got to be in a 3-team deal because they got a ton of guards in Charlotte.
Yeah, you have to give up multiple assets. None of those players are getting you. Like CJ's not getting you one of those players.
It'll get you Hayward.
You think CJ's straight up to Charlotte?
Not to Charlotte. It's a 3-team deal because Charlotte's just got too many guards. But if you route a big there, yeah, I can see that happening. Christian Wood, very much gettable. Kelly Oubre Jr., very much gettable. Harrison Barnes, very much gettable. Jaren Jackson Jr.,
I don't think so.
Probably not available.
Not yet.
But it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out over the next 2 years. His teammate, Brandon Clark, available.
I like Clark. I think he's a good role guy.
Markkanen could be available. Miles Turner, absolutely available. We're kind of dealing with forward/bigs here. Wendell Carter Jr., playing really well for Orlando. I don't know if they were talking about maybe moving off him, maybe not. They don't really know. Depends on what draft pick they get. Mikal Bridges, not available. But I mean, like, I don't even think like a Max Strus is available, who we just watched play for Miami. Like, it's just, you start getting into like the Joe Harris, Kevin Huerter, Devin Vassell, PJ Washington, DeAndre Hunter. Like, you either get super young guys or guys with warts or not perfect fits, or it's just like, then you start looking at it like, Jesus Christ, what can they get for CJ McCollum? And you're not getting a second best player for him straight up.
Well, but see, I heard Quick say this too. It's like, because he basically threw out the idea. Not I think reporting. I think it's more of just an opinion. You run down everything. Do they just bring CJ back? And,
which they can't.
They cannot do that. Like that cannot. You want to sell hope? You ain't selling shit with that. But like, he says they also value him so much that they're not gonna just give him away for quarters on the dollar. I'm not there, man. Like I don't get the thinking with that. I'm not telling you to go take pennies on the dollar, but you should be opening this up. And if it means you get a couple non-number twos back for CJ, a team that's desperate, a team that says, we could pay CJ this, it's just a couple more years. I think you got to do it. You got to stop acting like there's this inherent value with him that's going to suddenly go up when you need to make the move. Like, make the move and be done with it.
Yeah, I mean, they've needed to tear this Band-Aid off for quite some time. James Barker asks, what about Kevin Love? Is he too washed? Hilariously, he's playing some of the best basketball of the last, probably 5 years of his career.
He's bought all in with this Cavs run.
He's, 15-8 on 22 minutes a night right now.
Yep.
He's basically what they wanted Carmelo Anthony to be without having to deal with all the bullshit.
Yeah.
But he also costs $35 million off the top of my head, I think right around there. He's a lot of money. And Cleveland's in a whatever, things are going well, but we don't need to force, a buyout with him anymore because he's viable alongside Evan Mobley and alongside Lauri Markkanen and alongside Jared Allen. It just works. And he's been productive and he kind of likes it in Cleveland. So it's a very, very weird situation. But yeah, I think that at this point, the pendulum has swung from they can't deal him for anything to they won't deal him for anything. As weird as that is.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Justin DM'd me a couple days ago, I think, and was basically like, I don't think the Cavs would have to give anything back for Love for McCollum this time. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, but I mean, also just that in itself, why would Cleveland want CJ McCollum?
I mean, they wouldn't, but it was just that trade's been, kicked around for so long. It's just, I think that was the first real trade that ever manifested. I wanted Middleton, and then there was the Kevin Love one. But I want to get back to shutting down Dame here real quick. The decision kind of being made for him. They're just going to be bad enough. By the time Dame is ready to go, because they're going to get done with this little 5-game home stretch, and they're going to reevaluate him before they go out on this 6-game road trip in 13 days or whatever it is, this road trip from hell.
Yeah.
If he doesn't go on that, then what's the purpose of playing the rest of the season?
Well, that's kind of what my stance was yesterday when we talked about this on the pre. What are we waiting for here?
Him.
But
he's got. How his head is, man.
Yeah,
you got to pull him off the floor. So it's got to be so in his face.
But map out be realistic and map this out. You're not making an all-star team, bro. You're about to miss. You might miss the next 15 games.
He believes he can play the next 20 games and be so damn good because he believes in himself so much that the coaches are going to remind themselves, man, Dame's a real one.
Okay, I get that, but
it's frustrating.
I respect it, and it's also it's frustrating.
You want to put your head through a wall, Dame, just know what's good for you, dude.
If he was on, he would probably be clowning us, but you guys don't get it, man. You guys sound like guys who could never play on this level, and I get how that sounds, but it's we're also looking at the futuristic part of this. Not that Dame doesn't, but
I think Dame is 100% in the moment.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is he's here now? What can I do? How good can I be? I want to hoop. I get it, but I just, to your point, what is the point? If you're not going on the road trip, if you don't play these next 2 games, what is the point? What are you waiting for?
And I think that's the eternal optimist in him. You know what? Maybe the young guys will find a spark. Maybe, maybe Greg Brown or Trendon Watford has, a big. It's he's just hoping for anything. He's grasping for anything.
Yeah.
I think that's just kind of part of his DNA. That's what's made him so good. That's how
he's gotten there.
It's how a 3-star guy going to Weber State figures it out.
Yeah.
And when I sat down with Phil Beckner in the offseason to talk to him about just everything in general as it pertains to Dame, one of the things that he kind of talked about was how he had not really worked with Dame yet, and then one time he kind of ran into each other in the hallway, and he was like, you don't work hard enough to do what you need to do. And kind of how they got one of those meetings. And ever since then, Dame has just kind of been that dude. So if you can keep it going for just a second, I got to go deal with a puppy who's very angry. So
yeah, sure. Yeah, I got it. It's such a rock and a hard place for me because I know it. One of Nate's or Dame's guys, Nate Jones, who we've mentioned before, and he had a thing about Russ, and it's Russell Westbrook is not a perfect player, but Russell Westbrook And then here's the resume. It's all NBA, it's all-star team, it's league MVP, it's X percentage winning percentage in Oklahoma City all time. Like, he's got all of these accolades, and he's not a perfect player again, but he had that career by doing what he's doing, right? And the same can be applied for Dame here. Like, I'm wondering aloud why you're not shutting it down. Doesn't really look like it makes a lot of sense, especially if you sit out the next 7 to 8 games. So why delay the inevitable? If you know you're going to do it, just do it. And it's probably tough for Portland because they probably want to say this to him, or at least get him to agree to it. But he's your franchise guy. You got to let him make that decision. So, I mean, I get it, but it's a frustrating aspect, I think, of what this season has been. It's like, this maybe should have been talked about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and it was delayed. It was delayed because, maybe they'll turn this around. But the couple things that I keep going back to is, how do you make a speech to start your season to the crowd? Bear with us. How do you get to this kind of level of basketball? Because they weren't good when CJ and Nurk were both COVID-free and lung injury-free. How do you see this and you think this is the same as every other instance where you've not been great and then it's turned around? I don't know. I think this team it's been evident that this team is different than all those other teams. They're just not that good.
No, that's the thing is, and I think what's frustrating is, much like just about everything we have seen in this business as it pertains to the Blazers and Neil Olshey, waiting too long to do things, not having the fortitude to do things. And it's not black and white, but there's plenty of things along the way that they missed so egregiously. Getting 2017 wrong, not tanking 2016, signing deals, signing CJ's deal so big and a year early. Like, the timing of things is what has screwed so many things up. And if Joe and Bert and Jody, they really need to, like, if they do care about this team, about this franchise, about the basketball viability of this franchise, they will figure it the bleep out and go down that tank road.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk, they're not trading Dame right now, and they're not trading him for Ben Simmons. Stop. Those things are never happening. It's just, it is what it is. And this is something that's become a pretty common refrain. Dimitri says, I haven't missed games in years except for this season. I'm ready to move on. I've seen a lot of that this year. A lot of diehards even who are just like, I'm out, man. And that kind of goes back to the idea of shutting down Damian Lillard. It gives you something different. It gives you, again, that hope that you can sell with the young guys. And it's also why you cannot bring back CJ and Dame for season number 9. You can't do it. It is a non-starter. All of that, you're muted. There you go. Go on.
No, I was going to interrupt you, so I'm sorry. I'm glad I was muted, so I'll let you finish.
No, it's perfect. I was just getting to that point of like they can't do it. You can't sell that hope and then be like, I got you. We brought him back. Like that just that's not how this works.
Well, if we are to believe that that's the way Joe's going to view this, assuming he's going to remain the general manager, at least maybe that is what it is for now. But I think, Danny, if that's what we're to believe, that you can't do that, is the market going to be different, like between now and in the summer for CJ? I don't know. It feels like if you wait too long, you're going to be selling pennies on the dollar. And it feels like they think now that if you do it now, you're selling nickels on a quarter or on a dollar. It's like, I don't know. It doesn't feel all that different to me of when you decide to make that move.
As long as they don't go into next season with Dame and CJ, I don't think the timing necessarily matters. I don't. The only difference between trading him at the deadline and trading him in the offseason is any leverage you did have is gone. I don't think it exists even to begin with, but if any of it is gone, because come draft time, if you haven't moved CJ by then, they know that you have to move him.
Yeah. exactly. And then you've lost even more leverage. Like it just,
So,
I don't know.
I don't know how much leverage there is to gain.
Right.
To be honest, I think he is kind of what he is. It's just kind of I don't know, man. It's frustrating. This is another common question I'm getting a ton of. It's your boy Ben says, which of the three top picks makes the most sense for Portland? Your top three right now, I think, is essentially Jabari Smith Jr. From Auburn, Paulo Banchero from Duke, and Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga. Number one is pretty firmly right now Jabari Smith.
Yeah.
Paulo is there. Depends on which one you prefer, the one with a little bit more physical prowess or somebody who has some genuine holy crap upside in Jabari. Chet is pretty firmly third, and it's not necessarily a shot at him. It's just offensive creation at 6'10 plus is a very rare commodity, and both those guys have it in spades. Jabari Smith is one of the best big jump shooters we've seen since Kevin Durant, maybe the best jump shooting big we've seen since Kevin Durant. Paolo is kind of a Carmelo Anthony / Julius Randle clone. Like, he can get his shot from anywhere. Not necessarily the shooter that Jabari is, but again, they're both 6'10". It's a rare commodity. Chet, 7'1", moves pretty fluid. Not great as far as elite athleticism, but he's also a hell of a rim protector. Offensively, he can take and make them, but you don't necessarily want him being a shot creator, and I think that's what the limitations of him are. But I think he's pretty damn good. I think he's going to be a very good player in the NBA. But when you're looking at offensive creation, he's certainly lacking there. Beyond that, you start talking about a couple guards and a couple wings, and it depends on who you like whether it's Baldwin Jr., whether it's the kid from Arizona, whether it's the kid from Purdue or Ivy. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, but you've got some unicorn potential in the top three, and that's kind of where it's like, okay, things are good if you can maybe swing that in the top three. And Eric Fendel says, Brian Winters just said the Hawks are open to trades. Yeah, we had Andy Bunker on right before the game against the Hawks, and we kind of talked about this, how the Hawks have mimicked the Blazers, so to speak, building around Trey. I think they've done better with size than the Blazers did. John Collins is very much your LaMarcus-esque kind of guy, right, Brandon? He asks as he's coughing.
Yes, very.
So I think you can work with that. I think Capella's a solid fit there at the 5. It's figuring out the 2 and 3. Like, is Red Velvet your 6th man? Is Cam Reddish gonna be that guy at the 3? Who are you gonna slot in at the 2? I think pretty much anything there, as far as like a dude, that can make some things happen. Eli Hanna says, if CJ in a top 4 pick could get a capitalized guy like Cat, then it's worth holding on to CJ through the season. That's the calculus. So do you want to risk that and know that you have you expired, your time has run out at that draft, and push it that far, and hopefully somebody else shakes free? The same kind of calculus that Daryl Morey is making with Ben Simmons.
Well, I think Morey's, it's an abject disaster the way Morey's, I think, handled Ben Simmons. I don't think that's even debatable. But here's the thing. Minnesota is the one team I've kind of long wondered about. They're in the play-in situation, which might be good enough for them to say, let's try this for another year, because Cat still has 3 years left on his contract. I could also see Cat saying this isn't good enough.
Sure.
Especially if they don't win a play-in game and they get bumped, they don't make the playoffs again. But again, a lot goes into Minnesota doing that, right? Like, maybe CJ's an asset they'd want, or maybe they go Oklahoma City and they trade off all assets. They don't want, all these fat lingering contracts hanging around. I know you got to get to the cap and all that, but I don't know. Cat's nice, but the possibility of him not being available might hurt you if you wait too long on that.
Sure.
I'll tell you what team and guy I'd be interested in. Not to say that it's CJ, but like if it required some other movement, I would kick around the idea of Cam Reddish. I kind of just feel
don't think they have what they want.
No, probably they don't. But like, I think you're kind of in that situation. Like, you are young, maybe kind of unproven, but has real good potential if he's playing in the right situation type players, more so than how do we get Sabonis and Hayward to Portland with Dame? Like, that seems like a tall order.
Yeah.
For Joe Cronin.
Mateo Fernandez says, yeah, top 3 pick is a solution. Then asterisk. Sam Bowie and Greg Oden memories come to my mind. Here's the thing, and I don't want to sound like a jerk here, but I'm gonna. There's nobody on this roster that is going to get you the caliber level of talent in return that a top 3 lottery pick will get or could get. There's nothing on this roster outside Damian Lillard that outweighs the value of a top 3 pick. Not a bit. So even if you don't believe in it, even if you hate tanking and the idea of it offends your very sensibilities and you're down to your core and your very being, it doesn't matter. The best possible outcome for this team right now that is within their relative scope of control is sucking the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Flat out. And it is a situation that has occurred three different times in this time period with Damian Lillard. They fucked up one in 2017. 2016 they should have, and here we are at number 3.
Yeah.
Where they have to get it right. If they don't get it right, number one, not only are you screwing Damian Lillard's last couple years here, you're screwing the next generation. So they better get it right, and they better get their best shot at the apple. Like the best bite has got to be the closer you get to the top. That's how this all works.
Well, and if you can get to the top, that's a tall order. You're 4 games right now back of Houston in terms of being the worst team in the West. You're never going to catch Detroit and Orlando. But the beauty is Portland is the worst road team in the NBA,
and they have 26 road games to go, baby.
They have 26 more games. At this rate, they'll win none of those. That's good news, especially if Dame's not playing. But here's the other part. I think it's an optimistic view to look at a pick. If you can be in a position to be top 3, which would be kick ass, view it in an optimistic light. Like, let's look around the league a little bit. We've got some real young players that are making big impacts right away. The league is made for these dudes that are freaks to come in and be impactful.
Brandon, I just ran Tankathon's lottery one time.
Yeah.
And with a 7.5% because they've got less games played than Indiana right now. One time they got a top 3 pick. They got 3rd.
It'd be huge.
Like it's not a 1 in 10 chance of getting a top 3 pick is not a bad thing. Otherwise you're pick 5, 6, 7.
Which is still going to be viewed as a positive for some teams.
Don't get it twisted. Being able to package up CJ McCollum with that pick,
that's a good deal.
You can figure something out.
Yeah. Maybe that's where Minnesota goes.
I have to figure out how to go kill a puppy again. Give me 1 second.
Don't kill the dog. The dog loves you. Just
remember that. She's just a lunatic, so I might have to end up holding her.
I think we're all like kind of after the same thing here, right? I think what's tough is, as me and Danny talk this out, as we see what you guys are saying in the comment section, like, the path is just difficult. I don't even know. I think this is generally going to be one of the hardest builds in the NBA is what Joe Cronin is facing this offseason. And if you get a great draft pick, then cool. If you need to package a top 6 draft pick, which is entirely possible, that's where they end up. If you can throw that with a CJ, you just have to kind of look at the scope of where the league is and what teams are selling assets and looking to maybe bring one in for contract filler and say we have a good pick, and what teams are just desperate. And I think it's a really tough thing to answer right now because there's so much uncertainty in both the East and the West.
This is how it's done, whether you will like it or not. It's just you can only restock, retool so many ways around the edges. You need an infusion of talent, and Alexi kind of took this where I was going to go next. He says, I don't even think Cat and Dame wins a chip, so I think you have to aim for a top 3 pick and hope it turns into an all-star level guy quick. I'm kind of in that mode, but I'm also in just give Dame a chance. Like, I'm not asking to pair him LeBron James and Giannis. Like, but just give him, the guy has not had an all-star caliber teammate since LaMarcus.
Yes.
Like, just give the guy a legit bleeping chance.
Let us see it one time, and then we can make our grand
If it's a second-round team, whatever. It'll be a second-round team, and you go, that was a good team.
I mean, come on, don't undersell that.
We've loved lesser teams.
That. Yes, we have loved that. Oh no, you run it back. Well, they lost the first round. It doesn't matter. One more year, they'll figure this out. Second round. Oh my God, this team, run it back. First round loss again. Well, let's do it one more time. Like, we have kicked that idea around without an all-star, and ultimately that might be right. That Cat and Dame are not the title winning. But like, you talk to people around the league, Cat is one of those players to them. They legitimately believe Cat is like an AD, where if he gets out of the wrong situation and goes to the right one, he'll shine a little more. And we know how good Dame is. Maybe it would be an amazing pick and roll situation, or maybe it tops out at 2 rounds and you find yourself in 2 years trading Damian Lillard. I don't know, but like, I'm
at least
100%
give it
with
a
you.
chance to see it.
Yes.
At least give me the chance to see it.
Yeah.
Eric Finn also says, so Sabas, the only all-star available? We'll see.
Well, Hayward's technically an all-star, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's had an all-star appearance. Like, there's plenty of guys that had all-star appearances. I think they can get it. Jason says, what about Nikola Jovic from Serbia? I have watched exactly 3 minutes of him, so I can't tell you anything yet. I'm watching the top 3 guys a ton, and then I'll start working my way through, 4 through 10, which he figures to maybe be in there or the early teens. So it's kind of one of those situations. But let's pivot away from the grand scheme things and go a little closer because a guy had a really horrible December having a really good January. Anthony Simons.
Yeah.
I love last 2 game stats when it's like this. Last 2 games, Brandon is averaging 35.5 points and 7 assists. On 58, 54, 100 shooting splits.
Hey, how about that?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have talked about a lot was, as I kind of talk about Anthony, just in talking to him over the years, the roadblocks mentally and just kind of, I don't want to say emotionally because that's kind of a weird spot, but just the idea of where he fits into things. If people say, well, in January or in December, CJ was out and Ant didn't look very good, I'd argue that Dame being inserted and then back out and then Norm being inserted and then Ant back out and then Nas being inserted, like that kind of inconsistency in what his role was supposed to be and what he was being asked to do, it screws with him. And I'll just kind of highlight this when they first brought Carmelo Anthony onto the Blazers in 2019, when that season went sideways and everybody got hurt. Go look at the first 13 games of the season in Ant's production, his shooting, and then look at what happened the day after Carmelo Anthony got on the team. Just fast forward. His role as just like a bucket getter disappeared because those possessions all went to Carmelo Anthony. And this isn't my shit on Carmelo Anthony segment. I do enough of that already. But when given a consistent role where his job is go get buckets, what has he done, Brandon?
Largely gotten buckets.
Okay. So this doesn't surprise me. Now, 43 points surprises me. Getting 18 points in a quarter and then 20 points in the quarter. What is the thing that I said over and over and over and over coming into this season, Brandon? He's one of like 10 guys who can get you 20 in a quarter.
Yeah.
How many guys legitimately do you think are out there in the NBA that can, like, no BS, get you 20 in a quarter? And not like on a fluke, but I mean, like, you could see it. You're like, oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. He's pure buckets.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I mean, there's probably 20. I'm going down every team and I'm like, LeBron, yes. Jokic, yes. Ja, yes. Donovan, yes. Devin, yes. Steph, obviously. Clay, maybe, but I can't count him. Trey, Jalen, Jason.
Basically the top flight all-stars.
You're talking about the top end. These are all all-star caliber type players that you're talking about. He's one of 20 type players in the entire association.
At doing the most important thing.
Getting buckets.
Do I expect Ant to shoot like this and to be this hot? No, of course not. Do I expect him to be a 45, 40, 85 shooter? Yeah, I do. On volume, which will get him 20 million plus this offseason.
Which, is that what Portland should do?
Yes. If they can, because a guy who can get you that much offensively is worth more than that. And if they can retain the asset from a purely like financial / books version, and this is always my argument for trading CJ McCollum. If you can get 75% of CJ McCollum's production at a third the cost, it's worth it.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
So, Luke Johnson asks, what is Ant's ceiling? What do you see it as?
I think Ant's ceiling, I guess it depends on the team. If we're talking about Portland in the Dame era, I think Ant is one of the top 6-man Jordan Clarkson-like players. I think if you're to keep him, sign him, and say we value what he is and we need him on this team, I think you immediately make him the 6th man and you hope he becomes Jordan Clarkson, which, by the way, I know Clarkson wasn't always this, but...
We're talking about current Jordan Clarkson, not
yes. Not the Laker, Cleveland.
Not the shit
Jordan
show
Clarkson
version of Jordan Clarkson.
No, the guy who was like, fuck it, grow my hair out and I'm getting buckets. Yeah. Like that version, I think he is capable of doing that, being a 6th man of the year type player.
Hell, Tyler Herro.
It'd be awesome if he was Tyler Herro.
Like, I am very confident that if you gave Anthony Simons a clear, you are a bucket getter, go get buckets role in 32 minutes a night,
yeah, he
would average 20 points a game.
Well, I mean, imagine what that does for your bench, assuming he's your 6th man.
Yes.
Right? That's just like, holy shit, our bench situation's almost figured out. If a dude can get 18 to 23 by himself, you got to find a couple more points and your bench is good.
Mm-hmm. Somebody in here says, Clarkson makes $13 million, not 20. Clarkson's 30 years old. And it's 22.
You're paying to keep him because, I mean,
or to trade him.
Yeah, because that's still going to be an easy asset for teams to take on.
Mm-hmm. Because there's that Family Guy mystery box element still. He's 22 years old. But what if it's a boat? There's the whole idea of like,
there's a little box this big, but what if it's a boat?
Yeah, and then on the other side of the room, there's an actual boat.
Yeah.
That's not quite the same because you don't get the actual boat here. I mean, but you're looking at like, what if he's good, but what if he's great?
Gary Trent got 18. Like,
if you're 22 years old and you have talent, particularly shot-making talent, you are going to get paid. That is how this works, especially at 22 years old, because there's 6-7 years worth of potential in you still.
You know what team would probably love to pay Anthony Simons? The New York Knicks. They'd probably be like, oh my God, come get buckets at MSG, please.
OKC?
Okay, well, maybe. Or they'll try to get him and then trade him for more first-round picks.
More first-round picks. Rabichan says, Norm has to be a much more attractive asset than CJ at this point. It depends on who you're talking to.
Contractually, I don't know if I disagree with that at all.
Here's the catch. CJ's 2 more years. Norm has 4 more years.
Yeah.
Getting another team to willfully take on 4 years is very uncommon outside of a sign and trade. And I think Norm's game is going to age fine.
Right.
Like, I'm not worried about that at all. But just the idea of like, well, 4 years, that's a lot of time. He'll be 32, 33.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe an injury here or there. Maybe we're in a different place. I don't know, man. Like, anything really outside a 3 or 4 year window for a franchise is kind of like 1 or 2, you're like, oh yeah, we can operate within that window. 3, getting a little dicey. 4 years, you're like, I may be in Italy then. You know what I mean? Like I may be fired. So it's kind of it's a weird thing to commit to. So I think that's the hesitation.
You think the Wizards keep falling the way that they have after that great start?
They've been hammered by injuries and COVID. I think they actually had the worst.
But what if
them and Miami?
What if they fall out of it though? I'm just saying, like, do you think Beal finally gets to that point, or do you think he's got a lot of Dame in him where he's just like?
I think he has a lot of Dame in him.
Yeah.
I think he genuinely, especially after like watching like Dirk's retirement or jersey retirement last night, like that has to reinforce it for those guys. Like, man, like Dirk runs that city. Like it's just even with the Cowboys as big as they are, you say Dirk in Dallas.
Iconic. It's iconic.
Like Washington doesn't have iconic sports players across really anything outside of Ovechkin.
I was going to say, you better watch your mouth with Alexander Ovechkin.
Listen, I'm an Ovi guy.
John Riggins? What?
Okay. A modern sports star franchise guy. It's Ovechkin and nobody else.
Yeah.
Beal could be a god there.
Well, you could argue he already is. I mean,
Washington's such a, like Atlanta, like it's such a, transition town. It's just.
But this might be as good as it gets for them.
Yeah.
That's the other part of that we don't talk about.
Here's the thing. In that weird vein, does Washington's spare parts all of a sudden look interesting to Portland? KCP, Kuzma, Dinwiddie, Rui, Avdia, I'm trying to think, Daniel Gafford. Like, if they were just like, oh, I'll blow this up,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but that's the kind of thing is like, it's a weird position for a lot of teams right now. Somebody just asked, could an Ant $20 million contract end up like the ET signing? No. I mean,
no, because Ant would know his role here, and he can shoot. So
not this the I can shoot thing. It's the he's kind of shown what he can do offensively, and he's going to have competing offers. That's the thing. Like.
Well,
Evan wasn't getting competing offers.
The story goes, Evan Turner and his agent found out Neil offered him what they offered him, and they both said, wait, is this not a joke? And his agent was like, no, this is real. And he's like, sign that shit right now.
Yeah.
Because they weren't getting that money anywhere else.
Yeah. Evan called Danny Ainge and said, hey, I want to give you the opportunity to match this. And Danny laughed and told him to sign it.
Yeah. Shout out Neil. Neil the God.
What do you think about trading CJ and Nurk to the Kings for Fox and Bagley? I like Fox, but I mean, doesn't do anything for Portland.
Yeah, I don't want Fox with Dame.
Yeah, it doesn't really. It's kind of exacerbating the issue with more athleticism and less shooting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. Cooper Ching says Max Scherzer for Washington for the Nats. Dallas says no.
Ryan Zimmerman just retired for them. He was their longtime third baseman. Yeah. Scherzer's probably in it. I don't know about we're talking about God status though.
Yeah, I don't think he's that.
Scherzer's been around too much.
Like Ovi can go in anywhere and flash his toothless grin and get whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Then again, he also looks like a giant, scary Russian. But
I think you've got Chase Young, Alexander Ovechkin, Bradley Beal, and maybe Steven Strasburg for some people because he's still there.
And because the hype around him was so strong.
He's so strong. It's such a long career. They won a World Series finally. I think those are your big four in the DC sports scene, I would guess.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I do want to take a little opportunity here to talk about another guy. Wow, I screwed that up. I spelled the TEH. That's what I get for trying to babysit the dog and do graphics at the same time. Norman Powell, also looking really good in his role, Brandon.
Yeah.
Playing a straight two guard. It's weird how being in that position, all of a sudden he's shooting the ball better, getting more rebounds and shooting more efficiently. I'm just all in all looking more comfortable. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you concur?
I concur.
But I wanted to give Norm a little bit of shine just because it was like, that's interesting. That's weird. When you put a guy in his role, he does better.
I mean, we knew he was in the wrong spot, right? Like we knew that he should not have been one of 3 guards in a starting lineup. It was unfair to him, but he got the bag. And what's he supposed to do? Not sign a $90 million contract? And he put himself in a spot where he probably knew CJ was close to being done here. And if it wasn't CJ, it didn't matter if it was him because he still got the bag.
Yeah. And it's just, everybody keeps talking about value between CJ and Norm. And we talked a lot about the CJ part of this, but the Norm side of this is he has to fit the right team. You know where he'd look great right now? Los Angeles. You know who has nothing to offer up for him? Los Angeles. It's just kind of, and I say Los Angeles, and it's specifically to not highlight the Lakers or Clippers because it's both teams.
Yeah.
Somebody else I just saw in the chat, Owen says Buddy Hield would be great as a Blazer. He's kind of like CJ McCollum with less, shot creation.
Right. He's going to be waiting for Dame to feed him.
Yeah. He can't take it off the bounce. And he's a poor defender. One of the best 3-point shooters of all time. Don't get it twisted. I think he's like 9th right now in percentage. He's going to be a top 10 makes guy, I think, soon too. Or if he hasn't already. I think actually he has. Ian Fowler asked, not that they will, but when can they trade Norm? In a week. December 15th or January 15th. Because he's an extension guy. Or actually a new free agent under bird rights. And when he signed, it put it out to January 15th because I think it's 90 days from signing.
Yeah, it's January 15th. I just heard that. Yeah.
December 15th for all the regular guys and Norm, January 15th because I think it was a bird rights with the returning team. I think that pushes it out a little bit further. I guess we'll talk about something here real quick before we wrap up and get you out of here. It hasn't been made official through public channels. But it was sent out via email, and there's been more and more people talking about it. The Portland Trailblazers no longer have Jim Taylor as part of their organization. For those that don't know, Jim has been in charge of PR for forever. Longer
24 years, I think, is their
22 or 24. I can never remember what it was, but a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened. It's very strange to see somebody with this much tenure not being a part of this team in the middle of the season. It's another weird thing that happens or that has happened on this team in a year full of weird things.
It's par for the course, I think, for the organization. That dude was there for 24 years. I think, people like you and I knew JT. Mm-hmm. Some people knew him even better. Very, very odd. I saw that out, and I think it was Gunnarsson. It was the first one that I saw, and I'm like, what? Resign? Why would you resign right now? We don't know the full scope. Let's be fair here. Maybe it's not the team's fault. Maybe this is straight up him saying,
I'm done.
I'm done. I'm just
This could
done.
be Chris McGowan saying, I'm done.
I mean, it really might be, right? Like, the season sucks. The fan interest is kind of waning. Like, it's probably not very fun right now. And maybe I've done this for 24 years. I got enough bread. I'm good. I'm going to walk away. Didn't want to go on this next road trip. Like, it might be as simple as him saying, I'm done. Or there's something behind the scenes that we don't know, and we may hear about from friends in the inner circle or whatever. But
I'm leaning towards that column.
It might be, but 24 years is a very long time. So it just seems odd to fire somebody unless something happened, and if it comes out, then we'll know. But it may just be him saying, I'm tired of going on these trips. I'm tired of dealing with this.
I am not going on that 6-game road trip.
I am out.
That would be the best, funniest part of this, because otherwise it gets a little bit weird. Speaking a little bit weird, that's us. We thank you all. We appreciate you. Brandon's got to go be a basketball coach.
I'm coaching 4th grade girls.
He loves it. Loves it. So we're going to get out of here on that. Thank you all very much. We appreciate you. Like, rate, review, subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Help us grow the channel. Help us grow the show. If you're watching here on YouTube Live or on the replay, subscribe. Help us grow. Share us with your friends, your family, word of mouth, all of those things. If you want to take up an email campaign for us, I won't say no to that. We will have the pre and post game show tomorrow against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're missing a ton of guys, but Evan Mobley is playing, so I don't care. Give me more Mobley. Unfortunately, I can't get Justin for the show, but we will still have the live watch party. I'm still trying to get possibly. I know a lot of people in Cleveland, so I'm trying to get somebody. But of course, they will a lot of them will be traveling with the team, and it'll be hard to get them. So the home games are harder to get the road guys for because they're traveling. But we will catch you guys tomorrow, pregame at 5:30, postgame as soon as we can fall on the horn. For Brandon, I'm Danny. At Jack Ramsays, at Danny Mering, at Brandon Sprague. We will catch you all later. Love you all. Goodbye. Say bye, Dallas. Bye. No, you've been a very good puppy ever since I started holding you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mwah. All right, guys. We'll catch you all later.